Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the CiL Prospect Series here at Talladega for the Alabama 111. I'm Matthew Nordberg. Joining me in the booth tonight is John Dinkle. We're in for a great race here tonight. Current weather at Alabama, it's about 73 degrees Fahrenheit, the 27 degrees humidity, and partly cloudy with 12-mile-per-hour winds. Currently, the track tip is sitting at about 93 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the longest track on the schedule for our drivers here tonight at 2.66 miles long, and it's got that iconic start-finish straight, which just so happens to be a little bit past the center point of the front stretch. John, it's going to be a great race tonight. What are you looking forward from? What are you looking forward to from these drivers tonight?
It's Dega, baby. Talladega and as well as Daytona are the only two tracks known for their basically trademark drafting style, and you have to stay in the front of the pack, and you have basically every single car within 5 seconds of each other. So we're going to see a lot of close action, a lot of lead changes. Uh, we've seen some pretty clean racing in the Prospect Series, which is the race we have tonight. So I expect these drivers to kind of actually get some good green flag running. Uh, but they're going to race hard. They want to be in the race tomorrow night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be a fantastic race as our drivers get ready for qualifying here momentarily. Qualifying at a super speedway, it is important. Don't get me wrong, but compared to some of the other tracks we've been to this year, do you think qualifying is going to play a major factor for some of these drivers, or are some of them going to be more worried about just surviving the race instead of starting in a good position?
Qualifying, I mean, I feel like it's a litmus test. Like if you have some sort of issue, if you are kind of somehow off the pace, it's how you know that. But at tracks like Daytona, Talladega, it's kind of very equal. It's just full throttle on the bottom of the banking. So it's going to be very close. It's basically a dice roll, personally. So I think we're going to see some people up front starting the race that you might not normally see, or people that might normally be midfield might get that first time CIL pole position. Um, but yeah, as the race goes on, it's definitely going to shake up, especially with how close everyone is on this track.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can definitely tell who knows the ins and outs of super speedway racing by who preps their tires and their car the best for qualifying. As you mentioned, it's a litmus test. You know, it's not sometimes it's not as simple as just running flat out and making sure that you stay as close to the bottom as possible. It is going to be very important for these drivers to prep their cars properly, as it looks like we're going to see a couple drivers here start their qualifying laps. Looking on board right now, we have Zach Lindler out of the University of Clemson, going through turn 3 as he preps his qualifying lap right now. Zach Lindler actually is our in-car camera for tonight, so you can see him here prepping for qualifying, waving to the camera as he can hear us. But running that high line, we talked about prepping for qualifying laps. Just that's one of the ways you can do it is maybe take as much time as you can, use all the outside space on the outside of the track, and get as much distance as you can, so you have as fast as a speed as possible coming to the line for your first lap. As looks like Zach Lindler is going to be taking a slow first lap here. He's going to be really pushing for that quick second lap.
Yeah, certainly. It's like how on like a road course, you might take a very late apex on that final turn of the course to try to get as much a nice run on the start finish straight. Except on here, you never even have to lift. It's just full. It's just full throttle. So I'm still watching Zach Lindler. I think he's trying to. He was taking the high line again this lap, so I think he's trying to run two out laps, get enough momentum going. Maybe conserve the tires, make sure that they're all fresh and ready to go when he does do his push lap. Each driver in our field getting three qualifying laps, none of which really affect each other. It's not like Indianapolis 500 qualifying where it's a 5 lap average. It's just a one lap, and whatever that lap time is what counts. So certainly, we're watching the Pennsylvania College of Technology number 22 car of Austin DeLong on your screens right now. Looks like he's starting crossing the start finish as we speak. Start one of his qualifying laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And Austin DeLong there going with the fastest time of the night so far with a 53.58. That's about 400s quicker than the next closest car, and Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College. We're going to look back in here with Zachary Lindler as it looks like he's got a fast lap going here. We're going to stick around with him on the onboard camera, just so we can get an eye on his qualifying time, maybe see what his eyes are looking at, how he's moving the car, how gentle and smooth you are on that uh, turn can make a big difference from lap to lap, and actually not scrubbing off too much speed or whatnot is super important here at Talladega. He's currently sitting ninth right now with a lap time of 55.23, but that was his slow out lap, as it looks like he's going to be on a quick one here.
Yeah, crossing the line now. We'll see what he is able to score. Looks like he does a 53.6. That puts him fourth as of right now. Still about, eight tenths of a tenth shy of pole position, but I think he still has one more lap to go until he will be out of laps. Most of the field seems to be starting to clock in some lap times. I think, yeah, about half the field has done their lap so far, and they keep on coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we got 3 drivers right now with times of 53.66, and I think our timing screen is having a freak out because of it. All the names are on top of each other there. But as we close in on the last couple minutes of qualifying here, it looks like Zach Lindler coming through the front stretch for the final time in this qualifying session. We'll see what he's able to put up for his last lap time. That 137 car, he's shaking his head. He doesn't like it. It's going to be a slower time for him. It's going to be a 53.75. So at the moment, starting fifth from our in-car camera driver, Zach Lindler out of Clemson University.
Yeah, that last lap wasn't much better than my second one. Hello from the booth. You guys usually see me here in the broadcast booth, but I put the gloves back on tonight. So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you guys for having me back here in the booth to race.
Absolutely, Zach. It's a blast to hear from you. Good luck in the race tonight. I know it's going to be a stressful one.
Oh yeah, this is going to be this is the most stressful race of the year, is plate racing, but it's the one that everybody has a shot to win. So I figured I'd put the gloves back on for Lenore Ryan and hop back in the car.
Absolutely. That's great to hear, Zach. Good luck in the race tonight. Wish you all the best.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Zach Lindler, the 137 car, racing our in-car camera tonight. We'll maybe hear from him during a caution or two during this race, but we'll have to see how this race pans out as we look back to the rest of the field. Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College. We mentioned he had a fast lap time earlier, sitting in third right now behind Nicholas Stockner as well as Austin DeLong. And DeWale comes across the line now. See what he's able to put up. Unable to improve on his lap time. Actually, I think he is able to improve just barely, but it's not going to move him up any position. So sitting at a 153.61, looks like in terms of plate racing, Austin DeLong is a chunk ahead of the field right now at the 58, or excuse me, a 53.58.
Yeah, I didn't see that on my timing screen. That's a very considerable chunk of time. Seems it's about a hundredth of a second, but that can be quite a lot when it comes to qualifying. I would imagine if we try to get into miles an hour, it's maybe 2 miles an hour higher than the rest of the field. But I'm not doing math right now. We don't have a calculator.
I know. I went to school long enough to know that once you need a calculator to do the math, it's not worth it anymore. So here we got the 99 machine of Edwin Onofre out of University of North Texas. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'll have to double check and make sure I'm not. But that 99 machine, that green, mean 99 machine, currently sitting in 7th spot for Edwin. Looks like he's going to pull into the pits here. Maybe getting a little bit of pit stop practice in tonight. I think it's going to be interesting to see if we get long green flag runs, if we're going to have pit stops play a factor tonight, which is always possible. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see who gets those green flag pit stops done the best, because we've seen it in the real life NASCAR races and all 3 national touring series that at plate races it's so important to get on and off pit road correctly, because if you mess up you're going to be outside the pack and it's just not going to be a good rest of the race for you.
Yeah, and especially with how trim these cars out, you kind of just want to, like, the teams will make them as slippery as possible in a straight line, but that can make it really tricky to get on and off pit road because the tires will be cambered the wrong way, and you'll have basically no downforce. So getting on and off is one of the hardest things on this at Daytona and Talladega. It's just so difficult to do your pit stops correctly, which is why it's such a advantage to many drivers when they have practiced how to get on pit road, to get off pit road, and it can be the decider in some of these races.
Absolutely, as it looks like our timing tower seems to still be messing up, as we still have about 2 minutes left in qualifying. We'll go through the ticker to show you our current qualifying order now. Austin DeLong out of Pennsylvania College of Technology currently in pole position with Nicholas Stockner in second behind. Uh, Zachary DeWale is in third, with Connor Levy and Bradley Daniels rounding out your top five right now. And just a note for all of those who are new to the CIL, in the CIL, we do have alumni and student running together to represent their colleges. If you see a car with a 3-digit number and red trim on their decals, that's going to be a alumni car, 3 digits in the red decals. Students will be running the 2-digit numbers and the blue decals, so that's an easy way to signify the difference between those two classes. I do believe though that in the Prospect Series, because drivers are competing to get into the Premier Series, alumni and students are not separated by class in this series. It's all out. There's one uh, Prospect Series champion and one Prospect School champion, as we have just a few seconds left to go in this qualifying session. John, I think it's going to be a good race tonight. What are you looking forward to, and who do you think is going to win the race?
That's a very loaded question, don't you think? It's Talladega. Like, if I was to bet, I would be making that bet in vain.
Well,
there's no way to predict, basically.
absolutely.
I'm not going to be able to get it correct.
I mean, it's always worth a shot. You never know these races. You could see somebody from the bottom half of the field make their way to the front, but I think typically, especially in iRacing, you're going to see people at the front tend to stay at the front longer. And there's a lot of experience at the front. Austin DeLong is a CIL veteran, but you also got a lot of newcomers. Nick Stockner is a CIL veteran as well. You got newcomers such as Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College, Connor Levy out of Arizona State, and a few other drivers further back through the field who maybe don't have as much oval experience, such as R. Muhammad Alif. He's a really good road racer, but oval racing is not his expertise. And, uh, you know, especially super speedway racing, it's easy to run a qualifying lap, but at super speedway racing, once you get into the race, it's so difficult. It's more of a mental game than a physical how you drive your car game. So definitely going to be interesting to see how some of these drivers handle the pressure of being bumper to bumper like it's traffic on I-95. But we got a little warm-up session here between qualifying and the race just to make sure drivers are comfortable. We'll maybe see a quick glance. Here we got Edwin Onofre. It's not Onofre. Apologies for mispronouncing it earlier. It's Onofre. So I've been corrected, and I'll get it right for the rest of the race, hopefully. But he's going to be the first one out of the pits. I should say out of the pit lane and onto the track, as he passes a lot of cars to do it. But John, I think it's going to be interesting. I think experience is going to be playing a factor here tonight for the winner. And I think you're going to see someone who's been in the CIL for a while win this one.
Yeah, well, I do have to actually wonder because I don't think the timing tower shows it, but I think we have 6 cars that didn't set qualifying time, 3 of which are the Valparaiso cars, running a new, nice and bright pink livery for breast cancer awareness for the month of October. But yeah, I think that might actually be a team decision, sitting right in the back, maybe hoping to get a pit stop and doing it as a team and working together to try to get the cars out front by working together. It's actually a smart idea in theory, but I think often in the CIL, teammates are only in name, and more often than not, it's kind of just like, I mean, it's a friend, it's someone you can work with a bit, but you want the glory, you want the win, and your teammate, while they can help you, you kind of sometimes is actually an Achilles heel. So I think they're going to try to work together, but maybe come with like 10 to go, 5 to go. That's going to dissolve, and they're just going to be very selfish.
No, I think you're absolutely right. As we do see here that very, very bright pink paint scheme those Valparaiso cars are running for this race tonight in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness is October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So great to see that out of the Valparaiso cars as they work on their bump drafting and their tandem drafting. But I think you really hit the nail on the head there, John. I think teammates, everybody wants to win, and you don't want to be behind somebody at the finish. I think it's going to be teammates for 110 miles of this 111-mile race, and then once you hit that last mile, it's, the gloves come off and teammates don't matter anymore. Maybe if you're sitting in 4th or 5th and you want to push a teammate, knowing you don't have a chance. But if you got teammates 1 and 2, it's going to be very difficult to accept being behind your teammate at the finish. I think we saw that in the Daytona 500 this past season for NASCAR. We saw 2 Penske teammates, Ryan Blaney and Austin Cindric. They had a little bit of a coming together at the finish line, and one driver is always going to be happier than the other in those situations, but we'll see how well they can work together.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. I think you were also earlier, you mentioned that kind of divergence between like being in the CIL versus your experience in racing in the CIL. I think that's also what's trying to happen here, is that they know more often than not, tracks like Daytona, tracks like Talladega, these kind of super speedways where drafting is paramount. More often than not, it's kind of a wreck fest, and they know that what's easiest is if they sit behind, play it super safe, not necessarily praying, but knowing a caution will eventually come out, and then once that happens, and then they'll start and being super aggressive and trying to get up to the front, while all the cars that are in front of them or now behind them are all damaged and don't have as much speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's going to be an interesting race tonight. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hoping we see some good side-by-side 2-lane racing here, but you know, sometimes things can get a bit spread out when drivers get cautious. And I wonder if you're going to see that at the start of the race, knowing that they have 42 laps, 111 miles to go. If try not to wreck in the first 10 laps, 10 miles, it's definitely going to be an interesting race to see who's going to play the strategy game, who's going to play the teammate game, and who's going to be the rogue one, who's going to go out there and not make friends, who's going to be the Ross Chastain of tonight, right? Who's going to be out there being way too aggressive than they should be at that point in the race. So warm-up is just about over here. We're going to get our grid for the CiL Prospect Series race, Alabama 111 here at Talladega. Starting from pole position tonight, Austin DeLong out of the Pennsylvania College of Technology with a 53.58 lap time. On his outside, Nicholas Stockner out of Clemson University. Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College rounds out your top 3 with Connor Levy out of Arizona State in 4th. Bradley Daniels from Robert Morris is in 5th, as Zach Lindler representing Renoir Lime College today. That is an inaccuracy on the broadcast. It should be Lenoir Rhine. Edwin Onofre representing University of North Texas. We saw him earlier in that mean green 99 machine out of the University of North Texas, and Rhett Crane out of Ball State sitting in 8th. Andrew McCall from Purdue University is in 9th, with R. Muhammad Alif sitting in 10th from Ball State University. Alexander Hogarth out of St. Clair in 11th, with Scott Ratliff sitting in the 12th spot. Coming to 13th, Treston Yoder out of Robert Morris, with on his outside Cody Carey out of Ball State. Jeff Pete from the University of Minnesota is in 15th, and Daniel Hunter from St. Clair College in 16th. Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista University in 17th, and Garrett Daniels from Valparaiso in 18th, with his Valparaiso teammates Ethan Decatur and Matthew Warren rounding out 19th and 20th, and I believe that is your field for the tonight at the Alabama 111. John, it's going to be a great race here as we look towards the front of the field. Any last predictions or thoughts before we get this race underway?
Can't say I have any. Just all I'll say is, if you want to know what to expect unexpected. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, exactly. You never know what's going to happen in these races, and I think having something you expect to happen in this race is definitely going to be super interesting, and I think I'm ready for it.
One final tidbit before we get going. Nick Stockner did take a pit start, so he will be starting at the end of the line. So I call that
strange.
A freebie.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Zach. That's our in-car camera driver. Get one look at him before this race starts right now. That's Zach Lindler in the 137 out of Lenoir Rhine University. My mouth was just not putting the words together to get it to come out, but it's Lenoir Rhine. Running that 137 machine. So, as we get ready to go green here at the Alabama 111, our drivers definitely getting their tires warm, getting ready to race. It's going to be a fun one tonight, and I think We expect to see a lot of action off the start, but you never know what to expect here at Talladega.
Yeah, they come around turn 3 at the moment. Only one pace lap done in iRacing for these massive super speedways, so we're almost ready to get under green flag racing for this Alabama 111 in the CiL Prospect Series. These drivers are trying to race their way into the race tomorrow night. All of them want to get as many points as they can. The pace car looks to start diving down into pit road. And we're about to go green.
Absolutely. As Austin DeLong, that 22 machine, leads the field to the Geico restart zone. Restart zones are in effect for the CiL here tonight at the Alabama 111. It's a long pace lap to the restart zone here at at Talladega. As the restart zone comes up now, as Austin DeLong gets ready to lead the field to green. And we are green here at the Alabama 111 for the CiL Prospect Series race. Austin DeLong gets a fantastic jump. And behind him, Zachary Duale pushes him to the lead, trying to get second position for himself.
Great start for Zachary Duale, already about car length ahead of Connor Levy in the number 14 car. He had quite a lackluster start, actually. I think he's kind of falling back. But great lead for Austin DeLong in the number 22 car. So we have like quite ahead. But the outside line does have a nice run coming up. Maybe that's was his strategy to kind of slingshot behind. I think he's going to try to use that momentum to take the lead on the end of this opening lap.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the inside line just had a great jump on the restart there, but Connor Levy out of Arizona State University is able to gain the lead out of turn 4. He's going to be leading that outside line, as it looks like. That's Rhett Crane diving down to the inside in order to take that second position away from Connor Levy. And it looks like Connor Levy will lead that lap. That was Zach Lindler diving to the inside to lead the inside lane there. These cars are just, a lot of red cars in the mix here. It's going to be difficult to tell them apart at these speeds, but all those white cars with the same logo on them on the outside lane, that's Ball State University. We'll see if they can link up and get together as a team, and maybe Ball State University is going to have a plan to link up and try to take the lead of this race together, as Connor Levy almost gets shuffled to the third line there, but they stay too wide right now going through turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, Rhett Crane's kind of going side by side, not side by side, side to side, trying to maybe make it 3 wide, but I think he understands that he needs to just kind of maybe get in front, maybe try to sit himself in front of Zach Lindler. I think all these drivers know that 3 wide is not very good as we start lap number 3 on this Alabama 111. Nearly coming together as Zach Lindler looks to take the lead away, a little bit of contact. Starting to get 3 wide. Connor Levy's going to be left out to dry as no one decides to help him get pushed. This could be Crane's best chance, but Zach Lindler decides to go up high to block their momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Connor Levy just got a little bit loose, and I think everybody tried to drive around him because he got so loose. As Zach Lindler tries to control the lines here at the front of the pack now. He's doing a great job blocking both the bottom and the middle lane here, as looks like he'll come around turn 4, but that outside line is falling apart now. There's not really a whole lot of cars left there to get the momentum to make a push for the lead right now, as it looks like through the front stretch, maybe they have a bit more momentum as Rhett Crane comes across the stripe to lead lap 3. Lap 4 starts, and it's heating up now as they get reorganized on the outside line. It looks like that Ball State University in 1-2 right now. That's Rhett Crane and Muhammad Alif. Those guys are up 7 and 8 positions respectively right now. Scott Ratliff also up 9 spots. So your 1-2-3 driver started back in like around 10.
Looks like Scott Ratliff trying to go on the inside. Rhett Crane jumps right down the block. It's not dirty driving. It's Talladega driving. Walking off the inside line to make sure that he keeps that lead and kind of now gives it to his teammate, Muhammad Alif, in the number 12 Ball State machine.
Absolutely. I think Rhett Crane wanted to lead a line there. The benefit of leading the line is you just have to worry about getting pushed, as looks like that's Muhammad Alif and Andrew McCall jumping to the bottom lane. But if you're leading a line, you do have to remember you're burning more fuel than the guys behind you. So when it comes to pit stops, you might have to pit a couple laps earlier. But with the 3 Ball State University cars all together at the front here, all three of them in the top 5 at the moment, it's going to be interesting to see if they play the team game and pit together, even when they don't all need to pit, as things get a bit spread out on the backstretch here.
Yeah, I know I was mentioning that Valbrazio strategy of working together. They're kind of spread out. Ball State, we need to take a note of Ball State's notebook. They are running 1, 2, and 4 right now. It looks like Cody Kerr is going to lose quite a couple spots. He's gotten on the third lane and just has no one to help him out.
Yeah,
Lost,
absolutely.
I think 3 spots in that outside line. But Ball State's going to control that front line, P1, P2, in front of both. It's basically their race to lose, at least right now.
Absolutely. If they're able to control this race from the front, they'll be able to figure out who they want to go where. But I don't think Muhammad Alif wants to stick around in the outside lane for very long. It looks like he dives to the inside, and that top lane gets all the momentum. And Andrew McCall out of Pennsylvania University is leading that high line. That's a massive run from the high line coming out of turn 2 there. It'll be interesting to see how many cars can clear the bottom line going into turn 3. Maybe just the one for right now, but super tight racing here at Talladega. I was not expecting to see this much jostling for position so early on, but you know, when you see the position, you got to take it. You know, you can't wait too long, or else your opportunity is going to be gone. So Andrew McCall going to lead a lap here potentially, but the inside line has a good run, and I don't think Andrew McCall wants to block this early in the races. The 018 for Andrew McCall leads a lap here.
Yeah, I think all these drivers have that kind of mindset right now that they want to get as many positions as they can, but I think at this point, or at least in a couple laps or so, they'll start calming down, start seeing a bit of single file action. It looks like Scott Ratliff might have had to dive down. Not sure what his issue was. Maybe he got loose exiting turn number 2. He starts to try to get right back onto the racing surface, but he has lost so many positions, probably also the draft, so he's kind of in danger now. But the Ball State machines on the inside line,
almost an
bumper
accident
to bumper,
there.
at least right now. It's you try to get the 29 car up into the lead again. That's Cody Carey. I was just mentioning he lost out a lot of spots when he got lost the draft. Now he's already back up in the lead. These Ball State drivers are really trying to work together to keep their drivers up top.
Absolutely. I think as you were talking through the Ball State cars finding their way together again, it looked like Connor Levy and Alexander Hogarth got real close, a little bit too close for comfort, and it almost looked like it wrecked. As you know, you'd think the Ball State cars would sit in a line, but teamwork does not make the dream work here. As Armahan Alif shoots to the outside, he's going to want to leave the top lane, and there's going to be a massive run for the outside. They're going to get 2 or 3 cars clear of the bottom lane, but none of them will jump down. As Cody Carey on the apron a little bit there, as I think either Muhammad Alif wanted to meet his teammates again, or he just didn't want to lead a lap here on the top line, since he's fallen back to his teammates now.
Yeah, I have to think. I think they'll want to stay in this sort of arrangement. Imagine everyone's in single file action, but if they're nose to tail, then one person gets on the third lane or the second lane, starting that alternative line. And if they're all bumper to bumper, they can just be all synchronized, get in that other line, and they already have 3 cars and can work together to get the momentum. It's kind of like a secret weapon. They've kind of all started to fall back and really dissolve this strategy. They've kind of all moved about. I'm not sure if that's them realizing they need to save fuel, or if it's just a strategy call, like they want to start racing more independent, or if that's just what they're reading the situation. I imagine that a lot of these drivers are racing very independently. Not many schools have the sort of massive population in the CIL like Ball State does. St. Clair College is somewhat comparable, or honestly more comparable, but I think they might be. Oh, 4 wide. There's a bit of contact. There's a car.
Oh, we got contact.
As they enter turn number 1, I think that was. Not sure.
I think it was Cody Carey there who crashed. It was one of the Ball State cars. Yeah, I think, John, I was about to say, I think the Ball State cars, I don't think they planned that. I think Armahan Alif jumping from the top line to the bottom caused him to check up because Alif had so little speed. I think they all had to check up, and the accordion effect really dropped him back to the pack. Because it looked like Cody Carey was one of the Ball State cars who was caught up in that crash. Also, maybe Nick Stockner was caught up in it. Ethan Decatur maybe as well. We'll get a replay here of that crash momentarily, and we'll see what caused that incident to happen. 29 machine of Cody Carey, and then 29 with Cody Carey and Rhett Crane coming together. They were 3 wide there. That's some Ball State friendly fire, and I think that was
4 into 3 just does not work. I think as you go into turn 1, it kind of narrows. I think a lane, it goes from like 4 lanes to only 3. So that sort of, the way it narrowed up just kind of caught him out, and
yeah, you can really see right
they kind of
here.
got that friendly fire.
Yeah, I think if we pause, Edwin Onofre had a fantastic run on the outside, and he couldn't let that go. And I think the 52 of maybe, I think that was, uh, can't tell who
I
that
think
was.
is it the 521 car? I
Yeah,
think.
521 Bradley Daniels from Robert Morris. I think he came up a little bit, and the two Ball State University cars got together, but it didn't look like anyone hit the wall there. It looked like Cody Carey was able to keep it out of the wall. Great defensive move or great evasive action by Scott Ratliff there, avoiding the 29. Got to get on the brakes and be careful as he slides back down the track. But I think 4 cars into one definitely does not go, as Andrew McCall is the current leader here in the first caution of the night. About a quarter of the way into the race, we are at lap 11 of 42 into the Alabama 111. As looks like Andrew McCall is going to be leading the field down pit road here. It's going to be an interesting call, and we'll see how many takers go. That's Edwin Onofre in the green 99 machine staying on the track. I think he wants to lead some laps. As we see contact in the back, it looks like Austin DeLong and someone else got into each other going into pit road, but Andrew McCall leading the field down pit road for the first time tonight.
Yeah, a lot of cars try to take this. I think we're about a third. No, we're about a quarter way through this race. So I feel like this is way early. I think that move from Edwin Onofre, if I'm pronouncing that right, I think both of us have difficulty pronouncing his name, but he'll be in the lead, and I think that is a good call. I think we have Joshua Tiggs behind him, and lap time doesn't suffer too much, in my opinion, on tracks like Talladega, because it's mainly a fuel limitation. If you can make your fuel last, that's your main limitation on when you have to pit. So I think that this might be a good call for the 28 and the number 99 to try to stay out, get some extra laps led, and only pitting once. And it could also play out because if I can check real quick, these drivers only have a certain number of tire sets. Let me find that real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you made a good point here where I think Edwin Onofre and Joshua Tiggs both were in the back of the pack during that stint. So they probably were in the draft. They were probably able to save a little bit of fuel. So they probably definitely can make it on one more stop, if not to the end of this race, as I think the rest of the field who were out front taking the brunt of that air from for the rest of the pack. They really suffered with their fuel mileage, and they definitely had to pit here if they wanted to make it on one more, at the bare minimum, one more stop.
Yeah, well, so I found the number. They get 5 tire sets. They can have 5 different sets of tire on their car throughout this race. So if they're running equal size stints, there will be an extra set of tires by the end, if my math is right. So I'm not sure if what exactly happened, but I think that they're just trying to do a one-stop race, while the rest might just pit every caution. Because if the most of the field pits, it's normally the best call. But it only has the real massive implications if it's like a green-white checker or 5 to go, where you kind of either you have massive track position or you have the fresh tire set, and it's a weird do they or do they not call that can make or break your race in half of a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we see a few more cars coming down pit road here. Scott Ratliff and Cody Carey want to top off one more time as the pace car lights go out, meaning we have 1 lap to go here under this caution period. We have the front row, Edwin Onofre from University of North Texas on the inside in the first position, with Joshua Tiggs up 15 spots since the start of this race, out of Buena Vista University, currently sitting second. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because I think there are some drivers who are definitely going to be wanting to get back to the front of the field. I think drivers like Muhammad Alip, we've seen him be very aggressive tonight. Connor Levy, I don't think he's been as aggressive from Arizona State University, but I think he's biding his time. I think he definitely knows what he's doing, and he doesn't want to risk anything too early with still nearly 30 laps to go in this race. Austin DeLong is another car. We saw him drop back earlier in the race. He did start on pole position down 6 spots, but sitting in a good spot right now if he's able to make up some ground off the restart.
Yeah, I'm sure all these drivers would rather have a car that hasn't had any damage than one that's a couple spots down. Austin DeLong, yeah, P7, you said, or at least 6 spots down from where he started. So he's not in that bad a position, but I feel, at least in terms of where he is right now, the inside line, you can't do too much on it. You can try to make a line appear, but since the inside line normally runs that low line, you either need the high line to be like up on the wall, or um, you need to have a big gap on the outside to actually be able to um, pass any drivers on the low line. It's gonna kind of just sit there, and it is a very safe option though, because you do get the option to run low. Uh, but we're about to come to green. Edwin Onofre in the first position alongside Joshua Tiggs.
Yeah, absolutely. As the crowd on their feet here at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway, Edwin Onofre out of University of North Texas will lead the field to green here after our first caution period. On his outside, Joshua Tiggs. Restart zone is in effect once again. We'll get a good look at the drivers here as they head down towards the restart zone. That blue marked zone on the track is going to be where they can put their foot down to the floor and really get on it and get after it again for the Alabama 111. As they come to the restart zone now, Edwin Onofre out of University of North Texas will lead the field to green here as they go green at for the Alabama 111 once again. Edwin Onofre with a great jump, but looks like Joshua Tiggs on his outside is going to have a great run here coming out of turn 2. He's got the momentum going into turn 1, and that outside line always has some speed onto the back straightaway as Onofre leads Andrew McCall. And I think McCall's going to want to look high here coming out of turn 2. He's thinking about it, but he's not going to... Oh, he's going to do it now. It looks like he throws a block there. He's going to be put 3 wide almost. No, but that outside line... We see a pass below the yellow line by R. Muhammad Alif there. That's going to be an interesting call for our stewards tonight. We did mention R. Muhammad Alif, not the most adept... he's plenty of experience on the road side, but he's always learning on the oval, and I think he's going to get some slack for that one. I don't think any of the drivers are going to be appreciative of that move, especially Edwin Onofre.
Yeah, Muhammad Alif made that move, and I feel like the 22 of Austin DeLong was like having a sort of, like, he was a very split decision. Do I back up in 99 and help him draft, or do I back behind the 12? And I think that kind of indecision has now put him behind multiple cars, losing some spots in the start. With Andrew McCall in lead, Joshua Tiggs getting a massive advantage on that restart. Yeah, so I was watching that restart, but it seemed like Edwin Onofre kind of launched kind of late. So it kind of caught everybody off guard, which I think opened the door for Andrew McCall to take the lead of the Alabama 111 in the CiL Prospect Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all that fighting from when they had to go super wide throughout the pack has spread out the field. As they go 3 wide, still looks like they're for 6th or 7th position, as we have a bit of a 4 or 5 car pull away now, led by Andrew McCall, Joshua Tiggs behind them. They're going to line back up and go side by side for some more racing here. Or maybe Joshua Tiggs got shuffled out and they're continuing to go in 3 wide behind him. Edwin Onofre, he's going to lead that, or he's going to try to push that bottom line to the lead. I think he's definitely trying to make up some spots he lost off the start because of a bit of a sketchy move out of the 12 machine from Ball State University and R. Muhammad Alif as they come onto the back stretch, and it's 3, 4, 5 wide at some points, I feel like, almost. But that outside lane close to the wall is going to have tons of momentum here as the 3 Ball State cars are lined up, and one of them gets shuffled out.
I'm just confused. We had that like 6-car trade that had like a quarter-second gap. I thought they were going to kind of run away for a bit, but now they're all of a sudden caught up and we're 2 wide, pretty far down the field. Pretty much everyone just kind of run it just side by side, as I said. So I'm honestly kind of just confused right now. It looks like a lot of people checking up an outside line behind the number 6 Ball State machine. Not beside really having run under the 3 wide, further back with Nick Stockner on the low side. Just chaos. Not even like a crashing chaos. It's just unpredictable.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that front pull, that pack that really pulled away from the rest of the field there. I think Connor Levy pulled them 2 wide going onto the front stretch, and I think that slowed them all down. And they said, "Ah, crap, we got to go racing again. We got to side by side, let this chaos ensue." As that top line just looks more and more chaotic every time I look at it. I feel like every driver in that line is really trying to get a move to the outside. As it looks like 20 of Alexander Hogarth in that pack is looking to the outside. As Andrew McCall is able to lead the outside line for another lap.
Yeah, at some point I think we will try to get this in the final line, but that has not been the theme. So all I can do right now is just see what happens. It's like the number 02 is going to have a bit of running inside, pushed by Joshua Tiggs, but he kind of stalls out. He doesn't really have enough cars kind of pushing him get in front of Andrew McCall, who's currently in the lead of this race. Uh, there's a lot of separation between these cars, and if they want to try to get a run, they need to start getting that momentum built up to try to start getting some shuffling done. But we're shy of halfway through, so I think that's kind of the call right now is try to buy your time, wait until it starts getting short, not much time left, and bide on that aggression that's pretty much bound to happen in the Talladega race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that top line has really started to gain some momentum. It looks like the car in third place there, Cody Carey, pulls out of line for Ball State University. He wants to lead that inside line. I thought we would see more organization from some of his teammates. We got guys uh, like Alexander Hogarth and Zach DeWale, both out of St. Clair College. We haven't seen them link up much tonight. But Ball State University, we've seen them try to link up, but they really just they get together and they decide they want to get apart again. Just like a bad couple who can't stay apart from each other. They always find their way. They always get apart and they always come back together. So, we see an incident. It looks like Austin DeLong gets into the side of what I believe, or who I believe to be Tristan Yoder, the 09 machine out of Robert Morris University. Gets into the side of him. He sends him back a couple spots, and it looks like he might lose the draft now as well.
Looks like Rhett Crane's going to come to the lead if we look back at the front of this pack. I think he run on the back of Andrew McCall to take third place in this race, but currently he's on the back straight, so it might not count if Connor Levy has anything to say about it, or really if Alexander Hogarth. Oh, Andrew McCall has something to say. He runs right into the high line. He's going to go right back in front to clock another for lap lead, but Rhett Crane's going to have his teammate and Cody Carey right behind him. And his teammate on the high side, but I think his teammate's in the number 12. He's not really being a teammate by letting the outside line get way ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check in now with our in-car camera. That's the in-car camera of Zach Lindler out of Lennar Ryan University, currently sitting in the 5th position right now. You can see him on that high side, going side by side with who I believe to be Alexander Hogarth.
Jesus, take the wheel, boys. It's a hornet's nest in here.
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. As we look on board now, it looks like they've single filed out on that high line right now, but that bottom line has definitely fallen apart, and we'll see if we can get reorganized here and potentially challenge again. But right now, the high line, definitely the line to be in at the moment.
Yeah, it's the safe decision to try to get a lot of cars in a single file line and just try to run these laps down. Muhammad Alif's kind of on his own right now in the 3rd position, as we currently ride on board with Zach Lindler in 4th place, and we have a caution out on the circuit.
Yeah, it looks like cars have wrecked in the back. Looks like potentially Nicholas Stockner may be around. We'll have to get a replay of that. Definitely didn't see it from where we were in the booth. We were on board with Zach Lindler at the time out of Lennar Ryan University. That 37 machine looking mighty fine tonight, as he currently sits in the 4th position for our 2nd caution of the night.
Yeah, I was listening on the radio. I heard someone, I think the number 20, saying not clear. So clearly somebody was running high. Yeah, I think it was Nick Stockner, number 20. I think that's 09 of Tristan Yoder. Who looks to also have been involved. If we can get a better replay of this incident.
Yeah, we got the 20 here in the middle with the 6. I believe that's Cody Kane, or excuse me, Rhett Crane on his outside, and then the 124. Yeah, it looks like they were
3 wide. Nick Stockner started to run a bit low and kind of didn't know that he had a car on his low side, so his spotter, assuming he was using a electronic spotter, would have told him there was a car low, but I didn't think he'd know that there was another car on that low side. It looks like the number 20 also got a bit of contact from the number 6 of Rhett Crane, so I think that might have also disturbed some of the movement. But yeah, I personally, I'm not a steward, but I think that's somewhat on Stockner.
I mean, that's hard to tell, to be honest, especially at full speed. We have the luxury of going half time or half speed, but it looks like Hogarth really was just sticking his car into a spot that was maybe meant for cars to go too wide. Really, we had 2 lanes there forming, and I think he took it to the middle to go 3 wide. And I don't think Stockner expected him to put his nose in there like that. It's so tough. If we, in full speed, I think it definitely paints a bit of a different picture, because I think Stockner, he's running his line, and he's coming down a little bit, and there's just 3 cars there, or 2 cars on his inside, when he wasn't expecting 2 cars on his inside. He was already getting the car low call, and then all of a sudden it became 3 wide with no warning. As it's hard to tell there. I don't know if you can put the blame 100% on Stockner, 100% on Alexander Hogarth or any of the cars in that situation. I think there was just a lot going on, and maybe making the bad decision there of trying to stick a nose where there shouldn't be, or maybe coming down when there were cars underneath. It's just hard to tell. You can't really apportion blame there too much, but we'll see what the stewards say as cars coming to pit road now. Scott Ratliff out of Pitt State University, he's overshot his pit box just slightly at 747 machine. This is probably their last stop of the night, I'd say. I'm not 100% certain.
Yeah, some of these drivers. I was watching that replay. It looks like Edwin Onofre. He was on the lead on our last restart. He was in first place there, but he fell back quite a far amount. And in that incident, he was just an innocent bystander. He was pretty far back, and he tried to get out of the way, and unfortunately, in wreck avoidance, turned into the wall and got a decent chunk of damage. Each of these drivers are given a single iRacing fast repair each race, so looks like his car's pretty clean as of right now. That University of North Texas machine, but he's pretty far back, has even more spots. Almost went a lap down, but thankfully was able to get through the pit. It's fast enough that he's still going to be on the lead lap, but in 17th place.
Yeah, absolutely. As we look through our field, no penalties assessed so far to Muhammad Ali for passing below the double yellow line here at Talladega. We saw that earlier. We do have a live steward, and maybe the stewards have concluded that he was forced below the double yellow line or something, or maybe it's a post-race penalty or something, but who knows. Right now, our top 3, Andrew McCall out of Purdue University, the 018 machine, the alumni, leads the pack with Connor Levy, the newcomer to the CiL, his 3rd race in the Prospect Series, in 2nd, and Muhammad Ali in 3rd for Ball State. Right behind them, Zach Lindler, our in-car camera driver tonight, in 4th, and Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College in 5th.
Yeah, lots of movement. I think we might see this as the last lap before they go side by side, and we'll get to green flag racing after this lap, if I'm correct. But
I believe so.
Yeah,
you guys
I'm looking forward.
You guys mentioned pit stops that time by last time. My calculations have got me at 6 laps to the good. So that I stopped early. Some people stopped here in the middle. So I think everybody should be good to go on fuel to the end.
Absolutely fantastic insights from our in-car driver, Zach Lindler out of Lennar Ryan University. I definitely think these caution periods have helped out with the fuel mileage. Cruising around the track at, around here would probably be 65 miles an hour is definitely going to consume a lot less fuel than cruising around here at 200 miles per hour. As the cars go side by side again to line up for the 3rd restart of the night after our 2nd caution. It's going to be a good one here. I think we see the inside line get a good launch typically, but that outside line always powers back around the outside of them through turns 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to watch to see which lines have a good jump and who's a good pusher. I think these drivers have definitely started to learn over the course of the race who's good at pushing and who's good at getting pushed.
Yeah, that's certainly a thing you want to have in your notebook for when you are trying to see who could give you your best chance to get a nice finish or even just that win. But yeah, I think most of these cars up front are where they are there because they deserve to be there. Coming across the end of the back straight, about ready to restart this race, starting lap number 26 of 42, shy over halfway on this Alabama 111 in the CiL Prospect Series as they enter turn 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another point to make as they figure out who's good at pushing, who's good at receiving the push, is who they don't want to push. I think we've seen a little bit of some argy-bargy incidents between drivers where I think they're going to know for the rest of that race, if I got the opportunity to push this car to the win or push him to the lead, I'm not going to do it unless I know I can beat him. Just because you don't want drivers who pissed you off earlier in the race to get that victory. As they come to the pit lane now, as the pace car pulls away, the entire stands are on their feet, cheering loud as ever. here for the Alabama 111 for the CiL Prospect Series. Pace car is away as they come to the Geico restart zone. It's going to be a great restart here with Andrew McCall leading the field to green, slowly making their way forward. It's so easy to get a little bit anxious and not get the restart right, as Connor Levy's a little bit further back than expected as they get on the gas, and they are green again here at the CiL Prospect race. I think Muhammad Alif had an awful start there. That bottom line didn't get anywhere, and the high line's going to have all the momentum coming into turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely no bumping for number 12 car. He's going to fall way back. Thankfully has Zach McDwell right behind him, at least to prevent him, but it looks like they're going to go wide. He's going to be left out.
And they're going to go 3 wide here. Contact.
Andrew McCall's in the wall.
Andrew McCall tries to make a block and move to the high line, and we get another caution here. Cars in the wall, still drecking as they come out of turn 2. That was a dangerous decision there. They're going 3 wide on the exit of turn 2, and we'll have to get a replay of that incident. But it just looked like a couple of cars there. Maybe they were trying to block a bit too earlier. I think Andrew McCall thought he was safe to move up to the high side, and I think the cars just started to spread out and he had nowhere to go and ended up hitting somebody else. We'll get a replay of that here momentarily.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we have not said this yet tonight, but cautions, they breed cautions. We haven't said that yet, and it seems like finally it's come true. Very aggressive block, very hopeful. Didn't even have anyone as actually, it seems like he kind of went down. Don't know if he was trying to side draft, but
that's tough.
Honestly, it's a racing incident personally, because that was aggressive block and unpredictable placement. It's 2 people being aggressive is going to lead to a wreck. I can tell you that.
Absolutely. I think it was a little bit of Connor Levy coming down a little bit and Andrew McCall going up a little bit. As we see the Ball State machine, I can't tell who that is. That is the 20 to 26 machine of the 29 machine of Cody Carey. She barely squeezes by the wreck as they continue to wreck on the apron in front of them. I think that's can't quite tell who that is in that red car who just passed Andrew McCall there. Barely got a nose by, but yeah, you definitely said it. Cautions breed cautions. As the laps tick down here in this Alabama 111 for the CiL Prospect Series race, I think drivers are starting to realize there's not much time to make up positions. If you want to lead the field as much as you can, right? You know that we're safe on fuel now with the multitude of cautions we've had, and also you want to make sure that when you get to the final lap that you're not 2 by 2 with anyone. You want to know that you have the chance to block the one line who's going to be making that run. You want to have a bit of a gap if you want to make the block. Excuse me. So right now, Zach Lindler crossing the line right now.
It wasn't me, boys. I swear I didn't touch anyone.
Yeah, Zach Lindler, innocent bystander, is able to squeeze through Lightning McQueen style through the smoke, sticking his tongue out as he jumps over another car.
That was scary. I'm so glad I made that move. Holy cow.
Yeah, I think in general, any wrecks we get at the front of the field have the potential to take out a dozen drivers if they're not lucky. You know, if you have a wreck starting on the bottom of the track, it's so easy for it to shoot to the top of the track and take up the entire outside line. But a couple cars at the front of the field, Zach Lindler, of course, we've said, in the lead right now. Austin DeLong has made his way back to the front after dropping back earlier in this race. He was our pole position winner for the night. And Muhammad Alif is able to continue to kind of stick around up top, sitting in the 3rd position right now. And his teammate, Rhett Crane and Cody Carey, are not far behind them. So you could see a bit of a Ball State train chugging along here at Talladega momentarily.
Yeah, I want to say we have our onboard driver in Zach Lindler. He's up front. I do want to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to talk. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Do you think there's going to be another caution that comes out for the end of this race? Do you think it's going to be green to the checker?
It's Talladega. You know, there's always going to be. You can pretty much always count on a caution within 5 to go with guys going for that spot at the end of the race. I think there's definitely going to be another caution at the end of the race. So right now, it's just trying to keep your nose clean, trying to figure out who's your friend, who's not, because we still have 15 something laps of 185 mile an hour chess to play. So yeah,
a very apt comparison, comparing what we do on these super speedways to chess. It's a strategy game. at 185 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Thank you for your insight, Zach.
Yeah, absolutely. We heard Zach. He was talking to some teammates trying to figure out what the best strategy is for this race, or his crew chiefs just trying to figure out, what line to take. I think crew chiefs and spotters at Talladega, or I guess spotters more so than crew chiefs, are so important at these plate races, especially with this drafting model in iRacing that many NASCAR drivers have commented on, saying it's pretty close to the real thing. Obviously, can't get 100% every time, but for what it's worth, it's pretty accurate for a simulation of this quality. And having that spotter who can tell you which lines have the momentum and which lines can have which lines to block and which lines to stay in, I think it's going to be a big help. Having that calm voice in your ear saying, "Hey, stay low line. Top line is going to have a run. How far back they are." Because you don't want to throw a block at the last second if you can help it. I mean, last lap, all bets are off the table. But if you can get up there a couple car lengths early and kind of stop the momentum for that lead line, it does a lot.
Yeah, it's all like a risk versus reward. You sometimes have to pull that block, like a Joey Logano style block, to just guarantee yourself some nice spots or the win. But other times you just need to accept when you're not gonna get to keep the position you have. Um, it's just you don't win 100% of the time, but it's like you can try most you can. We're just going to have lap number 30 begin as they come to green this time around. About 12 laps to go until we get to the end of this Alabama 111. Apparently, Zach Lindler on the front row shared with Austin DeLong.
Yeah, absolutely. As they come through turn 3 and 4 now at this famous Talladega Super Speedway, you're gonna see here everybody getting bunched up a little bit more now. I think we got 2 Ball State cars on the bottom line, so I expect a big push from the bottom line here, and maybe we'll see a little bit of teamwork letting the other Ball State car into the bottom line as they hit the gas pedal in the restart zone. As they come out of turn 4 now, look at the crowd getting on their feet. So excited to see the CiL Prospect race here. Packed stands, love to see it. As the pace car pulls into pit road now, Zach Lindler pacing the field to the Geico restart zone here. Long stretch to get to the restart zone. It's so difficult to judge around this track, but Zach Lindler in control of the field right now as they come to the stripe again to start the next lap with 13 to go at the line. It's going to be Zach Lindler having a bit of a gap here as he hits the gas pedal, and he's able to go green again here at the Talladega in the Alabama 111. It looks like a lot of cars separated here. I think maybe Lindler got too good of a start as the Ball State cars start to close up on his bumper.
Yeah, they were very spread out on the start. Looks like number 12 is going to try to take the lead. As he heads on the outside, the 29 tries to make a third line on the outside, but has no one come to join him. Some of the Valparaiso cars are starting to get up to the front of the pack, or they're pretty far up the pack. They've been pretty quiet all day. But yeah, we will have Muhammad Alif pretty confidently in front of this pack, with Austin DeLong behind, and I think that's Zachary Dwell in St. Clair College in the third position. Zach Lindler is still going to try to fight back, but he does have his two Ball State machines behind him and to his back right. They're probably going to try to make sure that their teammate can get a nice little lap lead as we start lap number 31 this time around.
Absolutely. I think you mentioned that those Valparaiso cars have found each other, and they have lined up on the top line, and I think you're going to see a lot of teamwork out of those guys, as it looks like one of the Ball State cars, I think that's Rhett Crane, moves to the bottom. I think he wants to take the lead, but there's zero help on the bottom right now. They go 3 wide in the back. Edwin Onofre on the bottom of 3 wide right now with one of the Valparaiso cars, and one of the Valparaiso cars is in the wreck, big wreck in the back of the field. Looks like Scott Ratliff might be caught up in it, Tristan Yoder. Nick Stockner as well. It looks like a big pile up in the back of the field as they came off of turn 2. And we will get a replay of that momentarily, but
just a bundle of about 5 cars. I think that was Scott Ratliff. I think I see Andrew McCall was also involved, number 20 of Alexander Hogarth. And one of the Valparaiso cars, we had the commentator's curse there, just mentioned that teamwork that they could have been trying to employ. Matthew Warren and the number 48 Valparaiso Relay, unfortunately, is going to get wound up in this incident. And I think he still has his fast repair. He's been keeping it safe all day, but he's going to be well separated from his 2 teammates and way down the grid. But I think Scott Ratliff was the biggest loser on this incident, as I think, wasn't he in an incident earlier? I think he might have already used his fast repair.
I think he avoided it maybe, but let's see here. I think Tristan Yoder from Robert Morris University on the inside. It looks like one of the Valparaiso cars is coming down and just gets that rear end of Tristan Yoder turned around, and I think Matthew Warren is the guilty party here from Valparaiso. And I think as the wreck happens, I think cars start to get into each other. Scott Ratliff there in that yellow and red pit state machine gets into the wall with the help of Alexander Hogarth and a few other cars able to navigate their way through. Some front runners we saw earlier. Joshua Teague's passed there, Connor Levy. I think Andrew McCall was able to pass okay. I think he was. But super unfortunate there. I think Nick Stockner, I think he might have some front end damage. I'm not 100% sure from this angle. He looks okay from that.
There has been a decision that the number 48 was at fault for that accident. It seemed to me that he was trying to follow his teammates. He saw that the pink was like, "Hey, I'm in pink," and tried to follow through. But Tristan Yoder wanted to also get that outside lane, and neither were really trying to yield for a position. So just unfortunate. Two cars in the one just does not really work, since we have to abide by the laws of physics.
Yeah, and we saw Matthew Warren here has had some trouble getting out of the blocks once that wreck finished. I think he got some major damage. So hopefully he did have a fast repair. I'm not 100% certain. But yeah, the number 48 machine of Matthew Warren out of Valparaiso was given blame for the incident. He will get an end-of-line penalty, assuming he can make it back on the track again.
Yeah, I think he might have. Unfortunately, I think the number 48 has decided to pull into the pits and really into the garage, because he's not pulling up on my screen anymore. I can't really get a report of where he is on the track. But yeah, just a really unfortunate incident. I think how many laps of green flag was that? 2 laps. So yeah, I guess Zach was right. Bad omen in that we're going to have another caution just a bit earlier than we anticipated.
Dang it, I was right, and I didn't want to be. Come on, I want to go racing. I want to go fast.
I want to go fast.
Words to live by in the CiL, as I believe we have one to go when we get back to the stripe. They'll go side by side and line up for another restart, re-rack them and re-roll them here, as I think we look throughout the field right now. Our Muhammad Alif still leading the field up 9 spots from 10th. Austin DeLong in second. He started in pole position. He's down 1 spot out of Pennsylvania College of Technology, with Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College behind him. Zach Lindler, out of Renoir Line.
Lenore Ryan. I thought I'd just say it for you from now
Lenore Ryan. See, isn't it in North Carolina? I'm from North Carolina. I should know this. I've heard of that school before. I just can't put the syllables in my mouth. Right.
It's based out of Hickory. It's a relatively small school, but I'm at the satellite campus in Columbia, South Carolina.
Well, you heard it from Zach Lindler out of Lenoir. Say it again.
Lenore Ryan University.
Lenore Ryan, there you go. I'm just going to have him cut in every time I say it. If you're racing for the win, we're going to have to cut to you to say it again, Zach. So, currently sitting in 4th position. Currently sitting in 4th position, that's Zach Lindler. Cody Carey out of Ball State with his Ball State teammate in 6th behind him from Rhett Crane. Ethan Decatur in 7th, up 12 spots since the start of this race, with Bradley Daniels behind him in 8th. Garrett Daniels in 9th, and Jeff Pete in 10th. Edwin Onofre out of University of North Texas in 11th, and Andrew McCall from Purdue in 12th. Connor Levy out of Arizona State in 13th, and Joshua Teagues from Buena Vista University in 14th. Tristan Yoder, Alexander Hogarth round out our lead lap runners at the moment in 15th and 16th. We've lost a couple of cars from this race so far. Matthew Warren currently sitting in 19th. He was in the previous wreck and he pretty much lost all drive and he's done for the night. And Daniel Hunter, I believe, out of St. Clair College, is also done for the evening. A couple of lap car downs, Scott Ratliff, Nick Stockner, both still turning laps, I believe, but their nights are, for the most part, finished due to damage. They'll just be running around hoping to get a few positions from cars who wreck.
Yeah, we only have a 20 car field for this race tonight, so I mean, we haven't lost everybody. We still have a good number of cars that are still in this. Scott Ratliff 2 laps down. He's still going to be on the back of the pack, but I think he's going to be way out of contention for this, unless if the C's happen to part and Moses gives him a nice ticket onto the lead lap. But yeah, I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'll have to part a couple of times for him to get enough lucky dogs to be waved around enough to be on the lead lap as cars enter turn 3. Pace car lights are out. Pace car is going to be pulling in the pits this time by as we get ready to go racing again at the Alabama 111 at Talladega Super Speedway. Austin DeLong on the outside of our Muhammad Alif. It's going to be interesting. I think some of the teammates we've talked about tonight have been split up. I think the only two teammates I see together now are really the two Valparaiso cars from Ethan Decatur and I believe I want to say Garrett Daniels. I'm not 100% certain. I can't see the numbers in the cars from here as the crowd rises to their feet once again as we get ready to go green at Talladega. The pace cars away. Our Muhammad Alif paces the field to the restart zone. A little bit spread out.
Bunching a lot better than we have seen in the last couple tries. Looks like our Muhammad Alif, he's going to be in the lead as they start to head into the Geico restart zone in just a moment to get back, starting lap number 35 of this Alabama 111. He gets off. He has a great run. Austin DeLong does not get a very good run. He's going to take the lead to Muhammad Alif. About a car length in front of Austin DeLong. The inside line, led by Zachary DeWale, is going to lose out a lot. Pretty much having no one to draft him. A lot of single file action. Kind of a collusion from the Ball State cars to just get as weak a push from the inside line and getting their driver up in front.
Absolutely, our Muhammad Alif really taking advantage of the start there, and he jumps way up in front of the Austin DeLong there, even before the start-finish line, as the outside line pretty much completely dominates, because it looks like the two Ball State cars are going to move to the inside. They're going to try to drop DeLong and Lindler here, as it looks like two Ball State cars still lined up on the inside right now. We'll see if their leader, our Muhammad Alif, joins them, as I don't think there was enough momentum on the bottom line to do anything, as the guys who jumped down there pretty much lost all the momentum. And here comes the Valparaiso University cars. It looks like they've got lined up pretty well, it looks like, and I think they're going to try to make a move towards the top spots here as they stay together going to the bottom line. I think that's a smart move from them. That really takes out a lot of momentum. It looks like the Valparaiso cars decide against it. Never mind, they're going to start jumping to the high line again. I think they're playing mind games with the rest of the field right now. You see contact in the back of the field, it looks like.
29 of Cody Carey runs low, but he is able to keep it straight. We're going to stay green, but 3 by just a bit further back, but a lot of these Ball State cars falling way back due to that incident, as the Valpo cars kind of being very dangerous on the track. Garrett Daniel doing that very, I want to say, aggressive block on Connor Levy in number 14 car, but we're looking very single file. We're finally going to start getting some rewards for their cooperation, the Valparaiso cars. Whereas a lot of these Ball State cars have fallen back just so far to the point where we basically have 2 packs in this race. A single file pack from our Muhammad Alif to Connor Levy, and then Andrew McCall further back. He's caught up. They're starting to all get single file. Running out of time, about 5 laps to go. These drivers are really starting to get aggressive. We decided to run by Connor Levy, trying to take a lead. He's getting a nice run given to him from Andrew McCall into the 018 University machine. But they kind of stalled out at this point, some side drafting from the 00 Valparaiso car. 29 goes on the inside. It's a bit of a block from 30. Getting really aggressive, most of these cars further back. A nice single file line from 1st to 4th.
Absolutely. I think a lot of this fighting in the back is just what these front 3 want to see. Slow each other up so we can maybe pull away and potentially make it a 3-car fight for the lead, but they can't quite pull away. Not enough speed in these cars. The draft just way too powerful here at Talladega, as it looks like the outside line is pretty much all but, they're pretty much on everything but form up way too nicely here. I think a lot going on here now. It looks like Zach Lindler is going to jump to the bottom side there as I catch my breath and get back to commentating proper English now, as Connor Levy has been able to sneak his way up to 3rd due to Lindler's dropping to the bottom line, but that bottom line has had no momentum the second half of this race. It's going to be hard for them to catch up, as our Muhammad Alif is still separated from his teammates by a significant amount here. He's really alone out front, and I don't think he's made any friends tonight.
Yeah, I think that's very, very accurate description. He's been very aggressive, trying to keep up front, but he's definitely doesn't have any friends. Maybe when he's getting the 1 to go, I think he's gonna be very much left out to dry, as the 22 might go try to single him out, and the 14 follows suit. And anyone else who wants to try to get as many positions as they can but might do some aggressive blocks. He's been aggressive all night. Why stop on the white flag? So first to sixth, first to seventh, pretty much single file. The Ball State cars in seventh and eighth right now looks to be side by side. Maybe they'll try to get it looks exactly when it goes on through the high line. Number 6 can be very much left out to dry. He's kind of lost so many spots since his restart. Pretty much single file as we start lap number 40. About 3 laps to go in this Alabama 111. Expecting something crazy about to happen real quick. Looks like Zach Lindler tries to start the low line again. He has a bit of a run. If anyone else decides to join him, some drivers try, but they don't have the clearance down low, so they're basically going to sell Zach Lindler and Scott Ratliff, the 2-lap down car, but there are some other cars right behind who might be able to gain some momentum to get right into the front of this race.
Absolutely. I think if you want to get to that bottom line, you got to get that formed now in order to have enough time to get to the front of the pack. Really, your top 5 single file still, but behind them, it's starting to get a bit chaotic as everyone decides to get a little less chaotic and form up on the top line again. But Scott Ratliff, I think that's Scott Ratliff, correct me if I'm wrong, is trying his best to lead that bottom line. It looks like a couple cars will jump out down there now. It's getting a bit hectic with 2 laps to go here at the Alabama 111. Less than 5 miles to go now. As the bottom line starts to get a couple more cars joining now, we'll see what they can do with the couple laps remaining.
Yeah, Austin's DeLong given a pretty decent push onto Muhammad Alif. That might be tactical, trying to get him a nice, decent gap in front, then hanging back and try to do a slingshot, but he doesn't really get the gap he needs. I think Muhammad Alif could try to lift off the throttle to try to prevent that from really being so powerful, but he does have his teammates further back to, I guess, help form a line, help maybe call out some information to see what lines are powerful. But since we're single file, as we start the final lap in the Alabama 111, we do have a bit of contact further back. The 521 hits onto the 8 where he's in his last spots. But Muhammad Alif in front of Austin DeLong is honestly, he's pretty comfortable right now, but he's not going to be in just a moment. If this low line starts to actually get a nice run going, kind of disappears though. But we have almost turns around. Scott Ratliff nearly gets turned around. The low line starts to get a bit going. The O2 gives the 12 a very big shove to keep him in the lead. The Ball State cars are just behind the O2, helping out their friend, trying to get the win. They're on turn 4 for the final time in the Alabama 111, and he gets turned around.
Yeah, Muhammad Alif gets turned around coming out of turn 4. Zachary DeWale in the lead right now. Cody Carey going side by side through the pit lane. In the lead right now, it's Zachary DeWale still behind him, the 2 Ball State cars. But Zachary DeWale is able to take the victory in the Alabama 111. The 6 car of Red Crane behind him finishes second, and Andrew McCall is able to round out your top 3 right now. That was an insane finish, and cars wrecking out of turn 4 all the way down to the start-finish line. I got to go back and watch that finish again because so much was happening there.
90% of Talladega or super speedway races end with a last lap pass. That kind of felt strange, but we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when. And I feel bad for Muhammad Alif. He had that so close, and I think he might not even have finished due to the damage on his machine.
Absolutely. We're going to get a quick replay here of the final couple of moments here. We'll see. We'll go. Oops. Apologies. Here we go. Coming into turn 3 now. Just all chaos breaking loose as cars try to get side by side. 2 wide here going in turn 3. That's Austin DeLong at the front of the field right now, going side by side with Muhammad Alif right now. And Muhammad Alif on the outside, I think he just gets turned a little bit and it takes out DeLong as well. And it looks like through the front of the field, Connor Levy, he's trying to block. I think they make contact, and I think Zachary DeWale really just pushed all the cars on the bottom lane into each other, and I think he was able to make advantage of that and take the win in the Alabama 111. So we get a look here at Zachary enjoying his victory, his well-earned victory here in the CiL Prospect Series race for tonight. You got to get your elbows out to win at Talladega, and that's certainly what DeWale did tonight. We're really hoping to hear from him soon in a moment, but what a race, John. I think you couldn't expect a crazier finish than that with multiple cars wrecking. You couldn't keep an eye on everyone.
Chaos. I think I said at the start, it's chaos. It's Dega, baby. It's Dega. And certainly not some fine words because they're going to be spread around in chat, but I mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. As Zachary DeWell blows his engine doing some celebratory donuts and burnouts for the crowd here in Alabama. But yeah, that was a very interesting way for this race to finish. And honestly, it'll take a second for us to get it to happen, but we got some interviews coming up for a second. We'll get to talk to our winners and our podium sitter, or our winner and our podium sitters, to see what they thought of that finish.
Absolutely. We're still waiting for some of our drivers to get settled down a bit. I wouldn't be surprised if we were seeing some harsh words tonight between the drivers. We saw yesterday for sure, for certain in the NASCAR Cup Series race at the Roval. There were some strong words between Corey LaJoie and Daniel Suarez, and I think we might be seeing some things that are a bit stronger than that. As we
Yeah.
here in the booth catch our breath for just a second there, we're going to be joined in the booth now by our race runner-up, Rhett Crane out of Ball State University. Rhett, congratulations on the second place finish tonight. We saw you were a bit further back in the pack than I think you'd wanted to be going into that last lap. Walk us through that last lap and what your strategy was.
Yeah, from the start, we knew we just wanted to be there at the end. So whether or not we got shuffled to the back or not, it really didn't matter as long as we were there for the final lap, and we were. Yeah, we were a little bit further back in the pack than we would like, but we had Cody right in front of me and my teammate, so we knew that we were in a good spot to work together there at the end. And then some things unfolded in front of us, and it just kind of worked out the way it did.
Yeah, kind of chaotic out there, wasn't it? No, you have quite teammates. You have Muhammad Alif and I think it is Cody Carey, who are your teammates with. I think you all worked together with them all night to try to get as good a chance. Was that kind of a plan you had coming in, or was it kind of just how it turned out?
Oh, absolutely. Throughout the week, we prepped bump drafting itself just with each other. We figured at the end we were going to need to be bunched up with each other to work together so we could all get a good result. And I think the goal was it didn't matter who, but we just wanted one of the Ball State cars to be there at the end and the points at the podium. So that's the result we were looking for, and that's what we got.
Well, Rhett, congratulations on the second place finish tonight. You had a good night. Before we send you on your way, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, absolutely. My spotter, Caden, helps me out through all of our races. So big shout out to him. Obviously, couldn't do it without him. My parents, Ball State as an entity, and then my teammates, Alif and Cody as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you, and have a good night.
You too.
That was our race runner up tonight. That was Rhett Crane out of Ball State University. Great race from him. I don't think it worked out for his Ball State teammates as much as they hope they would have. But all in all, still a good night for Ball State, finishing second and fourth. And Muhammad Alif, the leader, going into the final couple corners, out of turn four, to be honest, and then just chaos breaking loose. But joining us in the booth now is going to be your third place finisher for this evening. It's Andrew McCall and the 018 machine out of Purdue University. Andrew, we saw you go from the back to the front to the back and to the front again by the end of that race. Go ahead. We saw you get in a wreck earlier on. Were you just focused on finishing the race from there, or were you focused on gaining spots from there?
I mean, I definitely felt like I could gain some spots and try to get back up front toward the end of the race. I felt like I had the car to do that. It seemed like when I was in whatever line I was in, I felt like I could kind of pull it or push it along. So I felt pretty confident in my ability to make my way back up to the front by the end of the race, as long as things stayed green.
Yeah, no real guarantees at Talladega. It's kind of just chaos, cautions. Thinking of the caution, do you have any comments on how that kind of happened, or what were you thinking in that accident? I think it was on the first lap of one of the restarts. Just what do you think happened there?
Well, I got too much of a jump on the inside line off that restart, and as you know, at Talladega, everybody catches up to you really quickly once you get too big a gap. So everybody tried to split me three wide, and I think Connor, the 14 car, who I'd been working with pretty well pretty much the whole night except for that one incident, he wanted to dive to the outside of me. He obviously had a big run, and I tried to block it for a second, but then he got alongside me, and I tried to pull off, but then it seemed like it almost sucked me into him on the outside. It's like the cars just wanted to come together. Unfortunate incident, but it's good that we both were able to recover from it.
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. I think anytime you can finish in the top three at Talladega, given its unpredictability, you can't be too upset. Before we send you on your way for this evening, do you want to thank anybody or shout anybody out on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my spotter, Jeremy Millerin. He was a huge help for me tonight. Honestly, that's probably the main person I would thank because he was the guy telling me what was going on behind me, which lines were coming, who had runs. So he was my seeing eye in the back of my head tonight. So big shout out to him.
Thank you, Andrew, and congratulations on the third place finish.
All right, thank you guys.
And that was Andrew McCall, the 018 machine from Purdue University, the alumni, rounding out your top three tonight. But I think now is the time we've been waiting for. I think we want to hear from our winner this evening, our first place finisher, Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College. Zach, congratulations on the win tonight. It definitely wasn't an easy one with the unpredictability of Talladega. Go ahead and walk us through that final couple of corners because I definitely think you were in the mix there with all the chaos.
Yeah, for sure. So we were coming, I think, fifth or fourth in line on the back stretch there. And I don't know who was in front of me. I tried to give him a really good shove off to see if he would try and make something work. And he went down, but so did the three guys ahead of me. So I just kept going up top, tried to give Muhammad a push, gave him a pretty good shot down the back stretch, and I tried to give him another shot off of 4. And the 29 was all over my bumper. And right when I got to Muhammad, the 29 was already on me. So if I lifted it all, I'm going around, and I'm not going to lift because it's the last lap of Talladega. So like, yeah.
Kind of just a sort of ping pong. Personally, it's like just chaos basically. But I think you had a couple teammates in the field. I think you had one of your teammates for who you'll be racing with tomorrow night from St. Clair College. Was there any sort of teamwork, or were you just running your own races?
Well, everyone was kind of just doing their own thing. We all kind of qualified in different spots of the pack, and it just never really worked out that we got bumper to bumper. So it was really just kind of trying to survive for the first bit. And I think if we were all still there at the end and they didn't have their technical issues, it definitely would have been working together a little bit more. But it just didn't work out that way at the end.
Well, Zachary, congratulations on the win tonight. It's definitely a good one. Always fun to win at Talladega. It's always unpredictable and exciting. Before we send you on your way tonight, is there anybody you want to thank or shout out on the broadcast this evening?
For sure. I want to thank Athena. They kept my head cool during that race, which is nice. And everybody watching, Emily and Riley and Jordan. Yeah, Talladega was pretty fun. Good. Looking forward to tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you, and congratulations on your first place finish tonight.
Thank you.
That was Zachary DeWale out of St. Clair College, our race winner for the evening. John, super exciting race tonight. I think one thing I noticed from all those interviews, everybody in the top three, they had a real person, a real spotter spotting for them. I think that's going to be a big factor for tomorrow night in the Premier Series race, where I think getting that live information from a spotter rather than just an automated voice telling you he's high on your outside is going to be a big factor in the success for these drivers tomorrow in the Premier Series race.
Yeah, but you gotta think most of those drivers who are spotting for their teammates during these prospect races, they're racing tomorrow. So I actually think a lot more drivers are going to have the robot spotters instead of the driver spotters. Like I think the spotter for Zachary DeWale, our winner, was Athena Leclerc, who's from St. Clair College, and they're going to be racing tomorrow night. So he's going to have either a friend of his spot for him or the robot, most likely the robot. And while I think many drivers get comfortable with the robot spotter, it does not have anything to compare with a human spotter who can. It's like a therapist, really. You can just help calm you down, help analyze how you could have played a situation differently, and it's a whole different ball game. And I think you said it best when all three of our podium sitters tonight had that human spotter. So maybe that'll just shake things up tomorrow night. with those extra unpredictable factors, those extra variables. But yes, it's such a godsend to have.
Absolutely. And I think tomorrow night is going to be a little bit more interesting as well. A bit longer race, 60 laps for the Premier Series rather than the 42 we saw tonight. So I think it's going to give, if we stay clean and we stay green for the Premier Series race, then we might have to worry about green flag pit stops more than we did tonight. But I think that's going to about do it for us here at the CIL for tonight for this CIL Premier Series, or excuse me, CIL Prospect Series race, the Alabama 111. Tomorrow night, the CIL Premier Series takes on Talladega Super Speedway for a 60-lap race to figure out who's the best super speedway racer in the CIL, who's got that little bit of Dale Earnhardt in him, and who can plate race the best. But tomorrow night, 8:45, 8:50 Eastern, CIL Premier Series race takes place. About 1 week from now, we're going to have the Formula C Series, that's open wheel racing in the IR04 cars. CILC Series will be taking place from Lime Rock Park. It's going to be a fun one, folks. And then on the next Tuesday, the CIL GT3 Challenge takes place at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Famous F1 track. Definitely going to be putting on some famous racing in the CIL. Our first time there, I think, ever. So it's going to be fun to watch. John, before we send everyone on their way, anybody want to thank? Anything you want to add for the night?
I think we've covered so many different things. I think it's just from what we said right now, let's just let them marinate on that, and then tomorrow we can see what if our predictions, if our analyses are the same or if they're different. Because a lot of the premier drivers, they know how to race. They know how and who they're racing against. So it's just gonna be crazy. We saw chaos tonight, and this is Prospect Series. Normally, Prospect is pretty clean. Drivers know that they're here to qualify for the race tomorrow night. So if we saw chaos tonight, we're going to see a lot of notable events tomorrow night, and you do not want to miss it.
John, I think you said it best. You do not want to miss it. Tomorrow night, the CIL Premier Series takes on Talladega. Same time, same place. I'm Matthew Nordberg from John Dinkle and everyone else here at the CIL who makes this possible. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and we hope to see you again sometime soon.